Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Padavallabha Narasimha Saraswati, Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha. Dattatreyan Mahatmanam Varadam Bhaktavatsalam Prapannartiharam Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Deenabandhum Kripasindhum Sarvakarana Sarvarakshakaram Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Sharanagata Deenartha Paritrana Parayanam Narayanam Vibhum Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Sarvanarthaharam Devam Sarvamangalam Sarvakleshaharam Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Brahmanyam Dharma Tattvajnam Bhakta Kirti Vardhanam Bhaktabhishtappradam Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Shoshanam Papa Pankasya Deepanam Jnanatejasah Tapa Prashamanam Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Sarvaroha Prashamanam Sarva Pida Nivaranam Vivaduddharanam Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Janma Samsara Bandhagnam Swarupanandadayakam Nishreyashapadam Vande Smatrugami Sanovatu Jayalabhaya Shahkama Dhatu Dattastayastavam Bhoga Moksha Pradasyemam Prapatestakriti Bhavet Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Padavallabha Narasimha Saraswati Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha. This Dattastavam is a hymn of Lord Dattatreya, who is the foremost guru of Paramampara Sri Ganapati Saccidānanda Swamiji. Lord Dattatreya is a unified form of the Supreme Trinity, that is Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, and hence is the repository of their combined divinity. Datta means to give or given, and Atreya stands for Atri's son. As the three supreme gods merged together and gave themselves to Atri in the form of his son, he is called Dattatreya. Atri symbolizes penance, and Anasuya, the mother of Lord Dattatreya, represents freedom from jealousy. When penance and freedom from jealousy unite, the highest truth emerges as Datta. He is a yogi and an avaduta rolled into one. In this age of Kali, he is considered as Kshipra Prasadi or quick bestower of grace. Lord Dakshinamurti and Hayagriva, considered as world's first teachers, are incarnations of Shiva and Vishnu respectively, while Dattatreya is the incarnation of the Trinity. The Lord is portrayed with 3 heads, 6 hands and 4 dogs, with him in the front of the divine cow and wish-fulfilling Avadumbra tree. His form itself has a profound meaning. His body is smeared with ashes, implying purity, detachment and dispassion. He wields a trident to kill the ego of his devotees and help them in transcending the illusory world, a drum to awaken those who are ignorant, and a conch shell that reverberates the sound Om. He holds a spinning discus, a circle that represents the universe and the annihilation of worldly ties. Dattatreya wears a japamala which he uses to count and liberate his devotees simply by thinking about them. He carries a pot brimming with the nectar of pure wisdom which he uses to replenish the souls of people who yearn for knowledge, freeing them from the eternal cycle of life and death. The 4 Vedas and the 4 Yugas or epochs are also represented by the accompanying 4 dogs, while the sacred cow represents Mother Earth and abundance. Lord Datta came to this earth in a physical form to spread jnana, but he does not grant it to anyone easily. He first tests the seeker, his intensity and eligibility, and then he blesses them. Many such incidents where Lord Dattatreya has tested his devotees before blessing them with the ultimate knowledge is explained in Dattadarshanam book by our Sadgurudeva. It reinforces the faith that Guru's grace is very potent and a vital necessity for a sadhaka to progress spiritually. He taught Prahalada about the various ashramas, that is stages of life, bestowed Ashtamaha Siddhis and many boons on Kartavirya, who still committed many sins and died at the hands of Parashurama, who was yet another devotee of Datta, who was then narrated about the greatness of Devi Tripura, known as Tripura Rahasyam, which is a treatise of Advaita Vedantam. When King Yadu inquired as to how Lord Dattatreya is free from the shackles of life and full of bliss, the Lord replied that nature was his supreme guru and went on to tell him about the 24 preceptors of nature that the Lord had and the wisdom he gained from them. Sripada Vallabha, who lived in the 14th century, is considered to be the first reincarnation of Lord Dattatreya in the Kali Yuga. Pitapuram, a town in Andhra Pradesh, is where he was born. After completing his Upanayanam at the age of 7, he began teaching the Vedas to the locals. He made numerous pilgrimages throughout India. Some of the noted holy places that Sripada Vallabha visited during his lifetime are Varanasi, Badrikashram, Gokarna, Srishailam and Kuruvapura. On the day of Ashwini Vadya Dwadashi, he disappeared into the Krishna river and concluded his avatara. Sri Narasimha Saraswati, who lived in the 15th century, was regarded as the next reincarnation of Lord Dattatreya in Kali Yuga. He was born on Paushya Shuddha Dvitiya in a district in Maharashtra. As a child, he did not say anything except chant the mantra Om until his Upanayana at the age of 7, when he suddenly began reciting the holy Vedas. He then travelled the length and breadth of the country, ending his avatara in Srishailam after a while. Sri Swamiji was born on May 26, 1942 in Mekadatu, Karnataka. His parents, Sri Narasimha Shastri and Sri Jayalakshmi Mata, were told by a Muslim saint that their child would have the highest wisdom and understanding and would be destined to enlighten mankind. Mata Jayalakshmi was a great yogini who, as a result of severe penance, attained God realization and divine powers. While meditating on a rock in the Kaveri river near Mekadatu, she gave birth to Lord Dattatreya's reincarnation as predicted by the saint. The child was named Satyanarayana. His mother, whom His Holiness calls as his first guru, initiated him into spiritual life before her passing away in 1951. Satyanarayana, the child, completed his schooling in the same way that the other children did, but he discovered that the school had nothing to offer him. Sri Swamiji was born with a great deal of wisdom and power. He arranged satsangs and taught bhajans to his friends even as a child. In 1966, Sri Swamiji moved to the present site of Mysore Ashram on Ooty Road, which in the early days was only a straw hut in a field. It was there at Mysore that Sri Swamiji became Sri Ganapati Saccidānanda Swamiji, and gradually Avadhuta Dattapeetham was established. Sri Swamiji, being omniscient, has been helping the people with their problems since his childhood. Innumerable devotees from all walks of life, ranging from a peasant or a daily wage laborer to heads of states and governments, follow His Holiness and look forward to his spiritual guidance. Pujya Sri Swamiji has inspired and encouraged thousands of devotees to start various socially beneficial activities such as educational institutions, relief to poor and Annadanam across the globe. Pujya Sri Dattavijayananda Tirtha Swamiji, the junior pontiff of Avadhuta Dattapeetham, fondly referred to as Sri Bala Swamiji by his devotees, was born in a traditional family to Srimati Saraswati and Sri Subramanyam on 14th January 1977 in Mysore. The boy was named as Harsha Sharma. He had his Vedic education in SGS Veda Patashala in Mysore Ashram. Sri Swamiji identified the inherent spiritual qualities in Sri Harsha Sharma and kept him under his spiritual observance, tutelage and guidance. On 27th May 2004, Sri Harsha Sharma was anointed as the junior pontiff of Avadhuta Dattapeetham in the presence of erudite scholars. He was given the Sannyasa Diksha name as Sri Dattavijayananda Tirtha. Through this sacred initiation, Sri Ganapati Saccidānanda Swamiji infused into Sri Bala Swamiji the rich spiritual and ritualistic Datta heritage. Sri Bala Swamiji is known for his eloquence in a variety of subjects including Shastras, Upanishads and many more. He is a remarkable translator of Vedas into common parlance, an example of which is his discourse on Yoga Vasishtam and Sundarakandam. Sri Bala Swamiji has been observing Chaturmasya Vrata Diksha every year for the past 17 years, when devotees from various ashrams come to offer seva during those 2 months. His Holiness has relentlessly toured the whole of India and other foreign countries, establishing various ashrams which are also called as Jnana-Bodha Sabhas in many states. Each ashram consists of a temple for Lord Dattatreya, Annapurna Mandir, a community hall for bhajans, prayers and meditation, and a charitable clinic. Till date, Sri Swamiji has established over 80 branches in India, including the 16 ashrams dedicated to Lord Dattatreya's 16 incarnations, including Dattakashi and Dattarameshwaram, Navanatha Datta Kshetras in Andhra Pradesh, Sripada Vallabha Anaga Datta Kshetram in Pitapuram, Andhra Pradesh, which is dedicated to Sripada Vallabha Swami, and Sri Narasimha Saraswati Gurupaduka Kshetram, dedicated to Swami Narasimha Saraswati in Ganagapura, Karnataka. Few temples established and consecrated by His Holiness are truly unique and worthy of attention. In Trinidad, Port of Spain, Sri Swamiji built a Hanuman temple with a huge Hanuman statue that stands tall at 85 feet on the grounds of Dattatreya Yoga Center, signifying that all devotees should grow in height spiritually. The statue, consecrated in 2003, is the tallest in the Western Hemisphere and second tallest in the world. Having been built according to the Dravidian style of architecture of South India, this is the largest Hanuman Murti outside India. The second is the 75 feet Hanuman in Mysore Ashram. The Karya Hanuman temple in Mysore Ashram is one of a kind, as there are 3 icons of Hanuman in this limestone temple, symbolizing the iconic endeavors of Hanuman in 3 planes. First is the Gagana Hanuman, or the gigantic Hanuman, on the roof of the temple, representing his flying in the air and crossing the ocean to bring the Sanjeevani mountain. The Dharani Hanuman is next, showing his defeat of numerous demons and tracing of Sita Devi on the earth's surface. The third is the Patala Hanuman, representing his slaying of Ahiravana in the netherworld in the form of Panchamukha Hanuman. This Hanuman is the first Hindu deity in the whole world to be worshipped through 4K projection mapping. This project was conceptualized and executed by Mani Shankar, a renowned Bollywood filmmaker and 3D holography expert. The third is the Suryanarayana Swami temple in Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh. Sri Swamiji consecrated a magnificent Suryanarayana Murti in SGS Ashrama, Kurnool on the 10th of February 2019. The temple complex is in the first floor of the building. On the roof of the temple is a towering statue of Suryanarayana Swami with 7 horses. The temple's most notable features include the fact that it is the first Suryanarayana temple as a main shrine which has been established by Pujya Sri Swamiji in any of his ashramas. In the center of this temple complex lies Sri Suryanarayana Swami's enormous shrine, which has a wide entryway. The fourth is the Maragada Dandayudapani temple in Nadupalani, Tamil Nadu. Sri Paramacharya once visited this temple and named it as Nadupalani, which means the Palani in the middle, as the temple is situated between Tenpalani, that is Palani in the south of Tamil Nadu in Dindugal, and Vadapalani, Palani in the north of Tamil Nadu in Chennai. It is a small hillock surrounded by 10 banyan trees, where Sri Swamiji has installed a 3 feet Dandayudapani statue made of emerald. He also installed a 45 feet statue of Sri Subramanya Swami on the western slope of this hillock on March 7, 2018. This idol is possibly the tallest statue of Sri Subramanya Swami in India. There are also statues of Maragada Hanuman in Dallas Ashram and Maragada Rajeshwari in Vijayawada Ashram.
Some of the important edifices in Dattapeetham, Mysore are the Dattatreya temple, which is situated in the Universal Prayer Hall, the Datta Venkateshwara temple, Nada Mandapam, SGS Veda Patashala, SGS Charitable Hospital, Dharmadwajam, Kishkinda Mulika Bonsai Garden, Vishwam Museum, and the Shukavana. The Dattatreya temple in Mysore is dedicated to Kalagni Shamana Dattatreya. This is one of the 50 Datta temples established in India and abroad. This temple was installed in the year 1978 by Sri Swamiji. After the Datta temple was built, ashrama began to be called as Avadhuta Dattapeetham. The installation of Sri Kalagni Shamana Dattatreya, who is the presiding deity, remains as one of the most historic and memorable events in the growth of Sri Ganapati Saccidānanda Ashrama, Mysore. It was during the installation of Datta temple that Sri Swamiji introduced Datta worship to his followers, which included the Dattastava and the greeting Jai Gurudeva Datta. The greeting Jai Gurudeva Datta slowly transformed into Jai Guru Datta in the mid-80s. The Datta Venkateshwara temple, which is situated in the ashram premises, was established and consecrated in the model of Sri Venkateshwara temple at Tirumala. Nada Mandapa is a gigantic and magnificent auditorium dedicated to music. Many cultural programs are held in the Nadamantapa throughout the year by artists of international repute. The SGS Veda Patashala is where young students undertake the study of Veda, Shastra, Agama and Sanskrit with yearly examinations conducted by Vedic scholars. The SGS Charitable Hospital offers both Ayurvedic and allopathic treatment. More than 1 lakh poor people benefit through this hospital annually. The Dharmadhwajam is a 45 feet monolith octagonal stone pillar with each side depicting various symbols of Dharma such as symbols of world religions, yoga, philosophy, music, etc. The Kishkinda Mulika Bonsai Garden houses an extraordinary collection of rare flora. It is said to be the largest bonsai garden in India. Vishwam is a magnificent museum displaying various crystals, gems, objects of traditional and ancient art forms, artifacts of rare kind presented to His Holiness. Sri Swamiji established Shukavana, an aviary and a rehabilitation center for birds. Located on premises of the ashrama, the aviary houses over 2,100 rare birds, among which more than 470 are critically endangered and exotic. A well-equipped hospital is attached to Shukavana. The hospital helps injured and ill birds and assists with their rehabilitation. Some of the other important activities of Avadhuta Tattapeetham are education, Kriya Yoga and healing music. Apart from the SGS Veda Patashala, more than 3,000 poor children study in the schools run by His Holiness in Mysore, Gunturu and other places. A special school for the communication impaired, disabled children called Vagdevi is run in Bangalore. Kriya Yoga is another important aspect of Pujya Swamiji's spiritual activities. Kriya Yoga helps its aspirants to learn to activate and control their senses and thought processes. Kriya Yoga involves learning breath control to effectively channel the flow of prana, life force, which transverses the 72,000 nadis or astral nerves in the human body. According to Markandeya Purana, Kriya Yoga was revealed by Lord Dattatreya to great saints and yogis of ancient India. Sri Swamiji has made it a part of his mission to revive this ancient knowledge. Sri Swamiji sees healing with music as a yogic practice. Yoga teaches that the astral body has 72,000 nerves. Each nadi or nerve vibrates at its own frequency. Music soothes the nadis and helps them to vibrate at the proper rate. Sri Swamiji stresses on concentration or ekagrata on the part of the listener. Sri Swamiji uses a synthesizer because this instrument can reproduce singly or in combination the sounds of more than 1,100 instruments. This allows Sri Swamiji a greater range for healing through music. The Avadhuta Dattapeetham involves itself with various charitable activities such as Annadanam, Women Rehabilitation Center, Old Age Home, SGS Children Home and Volunteer Group. In addition to intense spiritual activities, ashram life is also devoted to helping the poor. It is a tradition that all ashram visitors are fed free and food is distributed to the needy on a regular basis. More than 10 lakh people are fed annually in Mysore ashram and other branches. Dattapeetham runs a destitute women rehabilitation center called Amma Vodi at Hyderabad, SGS Annapurna Rajarajeshwari Vruddhashrama in Machilipatnam, SGS Children Home, an orphanage providing service to 40 children is being run in Gunturu, and volunteer group Sri Datta Humane Services renders tremendous service to the pilgrims during major social, religious and community events. To spread spiritual awareness and inculcation of moral values in public, especially students, a monthly magazine called Bhakti Mala is published in Telugu, Kannada, English, Tamil, Malayalam and Hindi. Sri Swamiji is a great composer of bhajans. Sri Swamiji has written more than 5,000 bhajans in Sanskrit, Kannada, Telugu and Hindi in praise of various deities. Sri Swamiji is endowed with a gifted voice. Sri Swamiji's bhajan sessions enthralls a layman and a scholar alike. The bhajans have proven to be beneficial in gaining calmness and peace, helps those ailing both physically and mentally, as the bhajans on each deity contains bijaksharas, that is seed letters corresponding to the particular deity, which emulates positive vibrations. Sri Swamiji began the practice of composing bhajans as his mother Jayalakshmi Mata used to compose many Krishna bhajans and sing them to him while he was very young. His Holiness always emphasizes on the importance of singing bhajans regularly as he believes that bhajan singing increases the devotion in us and helps us to develop in Bhakti Marga. For his extraordinary accomplishments, His Holiness has been awarded 9 world records by the Guinness Book of World Records.
Every year, Mysore Ashrama hosts a variety of festivities for which devotees gather from all over the world. The following are some of the festivals that are celebrated: Shankranti, Vinayaka Chaturthi, Shivaratri, Janmashtami, Yugadi, Datta Jayanti, Ratha Saptami, Hanuman Jayanti, Narasimha Jayanti, Jayalakshmi Mata Aradhana, birthday celebration of His Holiness, Guru Purnima and Navaratri. Tailabhishekam to Lord Dattatreya is performed on a weekly basis, while Ganapati Homa is performed daily. During the lockdown due to COVID pandemic, His Holiness recorded a Suvistara Mahabharata Pravachana for over 600 hours in 4K video quality to make sure that the Pravachana is available to all the future generations of devotees. Saccidānanda Swamiji Manjari in 5 different languages, bhajans, Datta Darshana Saptaha both in Kannada and Telugu, Devi Bhagavatam, moral stories, Sangraha Mahabharata, which is a summarized version of Mahabharata in Kannada, Anjaneya Charitra and Ganapati Saptaha in Kannada were recorded for various Telugu, Kannada and Hindi channels so that the people would stay indoors, focusing on divinity and get through the lockdown with courage. In the recent past, Sri Swamiji did Pravachanam on Bhagavata Bhaktas, Ashtadasha Shakti Peetam and is presently giving discourse on Adhyatma Ramayanam. Apart from recordings, donations were made for COVID relief to the governments of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and many other places, while food packages were distributed to the needy in all the ashramas and emergency kits were provided to the policemen. All these activities by our Sadguru elucidates his compassion and kindness. Having spoken about the greatness of our beloved Sadguru, we are truly blessed and proud to be his devotees for the past 4 generations.
We would like to conclude this video by singing a composition of His Holiness that is about Guru Parampara.
Datta Swarupa Sanatana Shri Guru Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Datta Swarupa Sanatana Shri Guru Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Shri Padavallabha Shri Datta Guru Jaya Nitya Niranjana Nirmala Guru Jaya Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Datta Swarupa Sanatana Shri Guru Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Narasimha Saraswati Shri Datta Guru Jaya Pavana Charita Parat Para Guru Jaya Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Datta Swarupa Sanatana Shri Guru Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Shri Ganapati Saccidānanda Guru Jaya Prema Swarupa Parat Para Guru Jaya Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare Saccidānanda Jaya Guru Deva Hare
दत्त स्वरूप सनातन श्री गुरु जय गुरुदेव हरे सच्चिदानंद जय गुरुदेव हरे सच्चिदानंद जय गुरुदेव हरे।